everybody, and welcome back again to Universal Light, Pure Love Ministries, ULPLM. Third time's the charm.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
They might try to stop us. We are unstoppable because it is girls' night out.
Yes, whoop, whoop, ladies' night.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, ladies' night
out. So today we were talking a little bit about what are you doing? Okay, sorry. Anyway, we were talking about child and human trafficking and the abuses that take place and the statistics that are out there. That's just for the statistics that we actually know about, not necessarily, that's just reported, not necessarily the ones that go unreported and unacknowledged.
Yeah, so, and sorry, Norma. I would give a disclosure so people can't stomach this.
So, if you don't want to hear about some of the dark things going on in our world, if you don't want to, be brought, if you don't want any kind of darkness or because this stuff isn't, it's not. There's no nice way of saying that people are being trafficked for sex, for organs, for numerous disgusting and terrifying reasons. So if you do not want that within your awareness at this time, this is probably not going to be the show for you, because we've chosen to shine our light upon this subject along with a few others, because it's time it gets brought to the forefront so that we can stop the corruption and the manipulation and the loss of many innocent lives.
Yeah, our children are innocent. Our women are holy, and they needed to be treated as such, not kidnapped, not brutally raped, not tortured, and sent out there for the elite to play with. So we, like you said, we've chosen to shine our light in this very dark spot, and knowing that it's going to help someone, it's going to encourage someone. So we have done some research on this subject, and we are backing and supporting those that are fighting this very dark spot in our world.
Yes. So to go over some of the statistics, because I was not heard on the last feed, some of the statistics out there are every 40 seconds, and this is the United States, a child goes missing. Every
40 seconds?
Every 40 seconds.
Yeah, I looked up some different statistics, so we'll intermingle them, but I did not know that every 40 seconds a child goes missing.
Yeah.
In the United States.
In the United States. In the United States. That's just the United States. Yes. And
that's crazy.
Year, more than 460,000 children are missing. And that's, again, just in the United States.
Wow.
Yep. They approximate 200 or 2,300 Americans get reported missing every day. This includes both the children and adults. It does not include, however, the Americans who have vanished in other countries, individuals who disappear and are never reported, the homeless, or their children. So there's a whole big chunk of people in that are not even considered in this particular statistic.
Yeah, so, oh my gosh, what would it be if we had the ability to record all of these people that come up missing?
Right. It would be astronomical right now. It would blow a lot of people's minds, because these are pretty high numbers, and this is just what we're allowed to know. I mean, this is just public information. So, and beyond that is a whole nother twisted side of what really goes on with people that they don't want reported.
Right.
And it's a scary, scary number. It's across the world. It's globally. And We're not kidding when we say, you know, that a lot of these people are taken to be elites' playthings. It's unfortunately a large number of people are taken for just that, and they are tortured, and they are brainwashed, and they are used and abused, and then tossed aside when they're no longer needed. And after that, they're abused some more, because then they're called crazy, or they, you know, are tossed into jails or in positions that they can't get out of. You know what I mean? It's scary when you get down and you start to see, and I'm not close to the root. I'm not even close to the roots yet. But when you even start to see, as you go down that tunnel to try to find the root cause of these issues, it gets very, very dark, and it gets very sad. You know, they definitely need light shining in this area, because the hole is very deep, and many people don't see a way out.
You're right. It's very deep, and a lot of people don't have a way out. A lot of people end up dying and being killed and brutally murdered. For what? For what?
Well, a lot of people would say, from the aspect in which, when you start digging down into the roots, for spiritual awareness and for spiritual enlightenment, if you can believe it. Yes, people are killing people for spiritual enlightenment.
Yeah.
People are eating people for spiritual, you know, it's scary to think. And these people truly believe they're having a spiritual experience when doing these things.
And the money.
They are having a spiritual experience.
They pimp out children, and that's, they use them for a lot of different things.
It's a very dark experience.
Yes.
And when they do this in the name of something, I mean, besides just what the elite play with, we're also talking about satanic ritual abuse.
Yeah. Yep.
That globally, the average cost of a sex slave is $90.
Yeah. Yep. It's very sad. And there's a lot of people, unfortunately, that are born into families that aren't recorded. They get sold off, you know, and it's a perpetual and global thing that we can't ignore anymore, because too many times we'll look at a situation and go, well, you know, I'll call the police, or I'll you know, get the government involved, or whatever it is. You know, too many people aren't willing to stand up, and because right now, understand, a lot of the government is doing these things. A lot of these programs out there to help families and children have a manipulative and dark side to them, where they're taking these children, and you know, it's and they're not helping. You know what I mean? They're willing to convince mothers to get abortions, who maybe aren't decided, in order to sell off organs, or they will, you know what I mean? It's when you start to really look at this aspect of things, and you have to dig, you have to look at it, because there are so many programs and institutions and things out there that deserve praising for those that it's assisting, right? But if we're not willing to look at it simply because it's helpful to some, we're completely neglecting and ignoring how many it's hurting.
Yeah. Well, a lot of this is going on in our country. There are, the statistics that I pulled up, there are between 15,000 and 17,000 people that are trafficked into the U.S. each year. And these people, I mean, they traffic them, they sell them to the rich, to the famous. You would not believe who these people become slaves to. And the average teenager, the average girl that enters into the sex trade in the U.S., is between 12 and 14 years old. Many of these victims are runaway girls who were sexually abused as children, you know?
Right.
And we are seeing hundreds of thousands of people coming up missing in this country and in other countries every year. Where are they going? Oh, some of you might say, oh, they've been abducted by aliens. They've been taken off planet and blah, 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 blah. No, a lot of these victims have been placed in very dark places that you wouldn't imagine because you've never been exposed to it. But there are people out there that are exposing it. And one person that I want to talk about that is exposing this trafficking that's going on is Craig Sawyer. So, Aaron, do you want to talk about him for a second?
Well, I will do the talking because it's ladies' night, I guess, and he's being.
Go ahead.
No, he's sharing. But
no problem.
Basically, he's been out there in Arizona. He and a team of his veterans and people. They go all over the country. Right now, I guess they're in Arizona. They've uncovered this trafficking space where a camp. There you go. Thank you. I didn't know what they called it. A trafficking camp, and in trying to get assistance from the law, they find themselves getting arrested. So, it's getting basically, and they're still out there. They're still doing it. They're standing their ground, and they're doing that because it's really they're not only are they trying to help the children and the people being trafficked, but it's also showing us what our government is truly doing. It's not the idea that we have of these people keeping us safe and comforted. That's not what they are. It's not what they've become. It's a great idea. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm not saying there's not good people in all places, okay, high and low. But this is what it has become. And it has become so corrupt within there that the good people in there, what are they doing? What have they done? You see what I'm saying? It's too much ick for those few little lights in there. We all need to be sparking our lights up in there. Because they're showing their hand, and they have many times before, especially this last year, North Dakota. Sorry. Yeah, okay. it gets me going. I'm sorry because it's frustrating.
It is frustrating.
Depend on, and these are people that are going.
We're talking about children. Where is our compassion? What is happening in this country? Do you care enough to step out and find out? Or are you going to keep sticking your fucking head in the sand and acting like this shit don't exist? Well, there are people that are raising up. There are people that are bringing awareness. And Craig Sawyer, he was a Navy SEAL. He was a Marine. He has been in places that you cannot even imagine being in. And now he's fighting for the children of this country. Now he's stepping in to battle this darkness, and law enforcement is not helping. Law enforcement and the government, they're sweeping it under the rug. So now it is time for us as light workers to shine our light in these dark places and stop ignoring it. You can't ignore it. We're talking about innocent lives here of children. And this is going to be tough. This is hard to handle because nobody wants to see children being abused. But if you go onto Craig Sawyer's YouTube channel, you will see what's going on. You will see that these children are being hidden underground in camps in the U.S., not in other countries, in the U.S., off of major highways so that they have access and quick access to the highways to flee or whatever the case may be, in getting them out of the country, into the hands of these people that are paying $90 for a sex slave, okay? And it needs to be exposed. And these things that are going on in this country are not going to stop until the light is shining on them, until we stand up and say, enough is enough. We've had enough. You are not going to steal our children anymore. You are not going to steal our sisters anymore. You are not going to take our loved ones anymore for your pleasure, for your dirty pleasure, for your filthy lucre. We're not going to stand for it anymore. We are going to stand up and bring awareness to this situation. And if you want to sweep it under the rug and just continue to say, oh, love and light, I only want to think about positive things, shame on you. Shame on you. Because part of being the light is shining the light in dark places. That means that we have to go where no other people sometimes want to go.
Yeah, we got to be willing to kind of go in there and because here's the thing, and things have been happening, okay? There have been arrests happening with child molesters. There's been a lot of really good things, getting a lot of people very excited. We just got to be very careful not to get too excited, because every time we do this, and we got to look at the patterns over history. Well, we got excited. Look, they're going to take care of it. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Well, the problem with that is that we go, oh, yeah, see, look, they did it. And then we go back over here and they didn't really do it because we didn't get down to the root of it. We didn't see where it was actually starting. We didn't see the beginning, the root. And until we pick out that root and really see what's happening, we can't fix it. We just can't.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, we do have to get to the root. And a lot of the root is just pure corruption. And the thing of it is nobody wants to deal with that. Once we receive a certain level of enlightenment or spiritual experiences, we want to keep going further. But there comes a point when you have to care about everybody, because we are all one. We are all connected. And what's happening to these children? What are happening to these sisters and these young mothers in the dark places that nobody wants to talk about? The government won't show up. The law enforcement will not show up. Craig Sawyer on YouTube, he is supplying evidence. Yep. He's exposing the camps. He is called for law enforcement. He's called for government officials. He's called for cadaver dogs, because many of these children are raped and abused to the point of death.
Yeah, yes. They don't survive.
And they're thrown in a hole in the ground. And these we need this exposed. We owe it to these children.
To our future, to our future. I mean, look at how big it has gotten already, with us kind of just ignoring and neglecting. It's gotten so big now that it's hard to ignore. I mean, you really have to just seriously push yourself in a place where you're not seeing, hearing, and knowing, because it is everywhere. It is, and that is because we weren't willing to dig. We wanted to be placated, or we were allowing ourselves to be placated by these governments and officials, and giving our power to them in a sense that we knowing in ourselves. Okay, many times, many people that hear these stories, we know we're going, that doesn't sound right. Oh, but it's the official story, and we like kind of disassociate ourselves from like this real world. Now I want to kind of explain this in a way, and I know it's a little bit kind of off, but understand the way that you can do that, the way you can kind of turn your attention off and not see, hear, and know things that you kind of sort of know. Well, that's what these people are doing to these children, to these people that they're taking. They're disassociating them. They're making people, and they're doing it to a point that they don't know themselves anymore.
Well, Norma, how do they do that?
That their handler is, they are that person. They are whoever they're trying to placate at that moment.
Let's talk about this a little bit deeper, Norma. How do these handlers get these children to disassociate?
Well, I'm going to use my own much smaller instance, but understand where it can happen to this small degree. It can happen to a much larger one. Things happened that made me uncomfortable, or I didn't like, or I was being touched or asked questions that I didn't want. I would put myself in another area of my mind. So I know something's happening and I don't really like it and I'm not okay, but I'm okay because I'm not here. I'm over here, right? The way that people say that this physical existence is like a mirage or fake, it's not real, it's just an experience. Well, some people will use that to a degree of, being able to disassociate. It's just my body. I'm over here. I'm playing over here, right? All is mind, universe is mental. Well, if you have something bad and horrible happening to you that many times, and you have to go to different sections of your mind every time that this is happening to you, pretty soon you have a very small piece of mind left, right? Everything's kind of manipulated because you've hidden in so many parts of yourself. So your handlers just compartmentalized. I guess that's
brainwashing.
Exactly. Yeah. Compartmentalized brainwashing. It's getting someone to where they don't know who they are. And so you now have full power and control over them. They don't know where they're supposed to be. If they're in this state of discomfort at all times, but you're giving them just enough to make them feel, okay, I can be okay for a minute. That's what the handlers do, right? They beat you, but then they make you feel okay, much like any abusive relationship.
Yes, it is an abusive relationship.
And that's basically what they do. And unfortunately, when it comes to the systematic ones, they start with these kids when they're little, just doing ridiculous and disgusting things, putting things in their mouths or just getting them used to things, making it normal. Huh?
18 months.
Yep.
Satanic ritual abuse, occult, secret societies. They start brainwashing these children and abusing them with terror about the age of 18 months. And at 18 months, they can program them. They can get them, see that the child wants to be in a safe place. So it will create that safe place in its mind while the abuse is happening so that it doesn't have to deal with the abuse.
Right.
And this causes a split. It causes a separation in the brain. It causes multiple personality disorders. And the child, as it grows older, 4, 5, 6 years old, it will split off into a compartment where that child has created a safe place or a safe personality that will protect it or rise up when that child needs something. Do you know what I mean? So if the child has multiple personalities, if the child grows into a young adult and the child doesn't know how to live out there in the world or work for a living, that child will create a person that knows how to work for a living and will switch over into that personality to cope with what it needs to cope with that day, that minute. And these handlers, these people that have come in and brainwashed them and abused them and traded them and trafficked them, they have the codes. They know what it takes to trigger each personality, to get that personality to come up in that being and do what it needs to do. So one thing a handler might do with a child that is trafficked and kidnapped and taken underground for forever and a day, that handler might program that child to be a shooter, to be a murderer, to be a killer. And then it has these codes programmed in its mind that say, that the kid is 15 years old and that code is turned on, and before you know it, that kid is in a school shooting people because he was triggered to rise up into that personality to do that specific job at a specific time for a specific purpose. So we're not always just talking about the sex trade. We're talking about trafficking in general, human trafficking, not just child trafficking, but the child trafficking is a huge part because these children, they're being snatched from their moms and dads. I mean, in Mexico, they're being told, oh, well, if you give us your firstborn child, we'll let this happen, or we'll make this happen for you. And then when you can pay us back, we'll give you your child back. Well, that's a lie. So they're targeting desperate people. To sell them the children, and these people are desperate. These people are people that love their children. They're not cruel. They're not evil. They love their children, and they've been put into desperate situations where now they're selling their children or pawning. They're pawning their child, believing a lie, thinking that they're going to get the child back.
Yeah, all these poor countries. Yeah,
we don't get the children back. They don't. They never see that child again. That child is gone into this dark
underground. They were telling these poor families that had just gone through the hurricane that they were going to bring their children over here for an education.
Oh, my God.
And so, I mean, that's a whole big thing that still is, I consider open, because I feel like the people that perpetuated that or started that particular instance are being overlooked. So that's the kind of people that they target. They target those that are desperate, that just want the best for their families, or just want the best possible survival for their family.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we have nasty people willing to manipulate that to get their own needs met. And it's but we got to remember, and it's a big cesspool. Swamp. It really is a big swamp of just mess, and that's why it's a good time now to keep looking at it. Don't turn your head away.
It is a good time. These things need to be exposed, and the only way they're going to be exposed is by people speaking out. And there are very few people that are speaking out about trafficking. And this needs to be brought to the forefront, because our children are suffering. Our children, our future, are suffering. And one thing I want to touch on, Norma, is the spiritual community that's saying, oh, well, just focus on positivity. Don't think about that. Just focus on being positive, and then you'll bring and create more positivity in the world. How would you respond to someone that says that?
Well, it depends on where they're coming from. Now, if you mean hold that positive light within my heart space as I'm digging and delving deep into the muck, yes, you are so right. I do need to do that. But I need to dive deep down into the muck. I need to see. I got to find that root. Otherwise, I mean, what am I doing other than ignoring it? Now, yes, I want to hold that positive vibe. I mean, no matter what, even if I'm sitting in my deepest state of depression, in my heart space, I can hold on to that positivity and know I'm going to be rising back up out of it. It's a phase, it's a mood, it's a whatever, right? So, yes, you want to hold that positive space in your heart, but you don't want to neglect or ignore anything. This is the world we live in. You know what I mean? Now, there are some thoughts or some things that run through our mind, and we say ignore them or push them away or say whatever. But there's a reason for those too. You want to entertain every thought, right? You want to at least give it a second, see what it's saying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because we are our best teachers. We are our best gurus. We are our best healers. We are our best everything. So you want to entertain each thought, but you don't want to sit and hold every thought. You know, there are those thoughts that are just meant to kind of swing by. And
being
those
positive
thoughts
is good for our individuals.
Yes.
And for people around us.
Right.
But there is negatives that we need to address.
Yes. Yeah. So, as Aaron was saying, is being positive within ourselves and within our circles, yes. But we still have to understand that out there in the world, there is still that negative that exists.
Well, there is negative in his 3D world, and you know what? There are some people that also believe that we are predestined. We create our life before we ever incarnate here. And so these people that are going through this, these children that are going through this, picked to have this experience. They chose to have this experience. But you know what? There is somebody out there who chose to have the experience of rescuing these children.
Yes, exactly. And that's just the whole thing right there. I mean, we do choose our path. But here's the thing, it's much like manifesting here in the 3D world. We set out our plan, okay? And we have the trials and errors and the things that we want to learn, and then a scenario of ways we can learn it, right? Much why we're many people, so we can see it different ways, experience it different ways. Yes, we set the path we want. And in this world today, if you were born in a cult family, you probably knew before you incarnated it was going to be a cult family, okay? I'm not going to deny that. However, you are up there in your soul and you see what is coming to fruition, and you know it's going to be a minuscule experience because you're going to be part of that light shining. You're going to be part of the beings that allow the other beings to come in and you see what I'm saying? So yes, negativity will always exist, okay? But peace and harmony can too, even with that negativity and that darkness and that duality that we live in. So to say that we just need to ignore those types of things and only focus on these types of things to be in a certain space. Now, if you're just beginning, if you're coming out of a hurtful or painful space, you may need to do that for a while. I'm not going to deny that either. However, in true healing, you will then be able to go back upon that and look at that darkness and help others see their way out too, correct? So, yeah, you don't want to ignore and put your head in the sand on anything. You want to be able to pay attention to, as much as you can. You want to, see and be willing to learn as much as possible.
Yes.
While holding that positivity in your heart space.
Well, and as we awaken, as we ascend into our true essence is always love at the core. And we are to, I feel like we are to love those, it's compassion.
Yes.
It's having compassion. It's having heart for those that don't know. They don't know. They don't know what they're in for. When we come into this world, we forget.
Yes.
We're not able to remember until such a time as this. And every experience that these children go through, they are most likely going through it with forgetfulness of who they are, of what their purpose is, and of any type of love. They have forgotten all that. And if we can shine light on that, if we can rescue one child, rescue one person, and show them that humanity is not about that dark experience.
Yep. Yep. It's worth fighting for. I mean, it's one of those things that we can't back away from. We can't ignore, because every time we have before, it's gotten us to this state that we're in now. And
it has.
And
we're ascending. Our world is ascending, but we are to bring heaven on earth.
Yep.
We are to bring heaven on earth. The kingdom is coming. The kingdom is now. Heaven on earth. And that means exposing these dark things and taking a stand. And you can say all you want that, oh, if you fight that, you're really resisting it and you're going to bring more of that upon you. Bullshit. If you are seeing a little kid run out into the road after a ball, are you going to just let him get plowed over by a car because that's his journey? You're just going to stand there and watch?
Right? Exactly. Yes, there is a place for allowance, and then there is a place for action. And finding the balance between the two is ideally where we'd like to be.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely balance, but right now we're unbalanced because all this shit is being swept under the rug while you're laying in your bed integrating new energy. Okay? Now, please don't get me wrong. I love to integrate new energy. But you know what? If my neighbor's fucking kid is being sexually abused while I'm not stepping out and not exposing what I truly know in my heart is happening,
right?
That doesn't say much for your spirituality, in my opinion.
Right. Yep.
It doesn't say a whole lot for your love.
Jesus spoke up. Isn't he everybody's favorite? He spoke up.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember once when Jesus spoke up in the temple, and he was furious that people were having to buy their blessings. And he went into this temple and he threw the tables up and he set the chickens free. And he told the people, you will not make my father's house a den of thieves.
Right. Yep.
He was angry and he spoke up at the injustice that was going on right before his very eyes.
Yep.
And we need to be angry too. We need to be angry about this injustice that is going on and being swept under the carpet. Nobody is speaking out. Nobody is doing nothing. There are very few people that have the courage to speak out because the elite will try to shut you up. When they know that you're on a hot trail, they will try to shut you up. But if you know who you are and the power that you wield, nobody will be able to shut you up. And you will fulfill your destiny. You will. And some of you have the destiny of helping abused women, of helping abused children, of helping expose these things. Some of you have the destiny of working in the trenches, not just laying in your bed having woohoo experiences every fucking day, okay? And that's, we're here to bring heaven on earth. And if you have a woohoo experience, good for you. But if you can't share that woohoo experience with somebody else, then it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean nothing to the hurting soul.
Yep. Well, and remember, your woohoo experience, how are you getting it? Understand, someone's getting their woohoo experience at the expense of someone else.
Exactly.
Really think of that?
Exactly. Exactly, Norma. It's crazy. So I want to encourage you, everybody that's watching this right now, you need to be sharing this. You need to be speaking out. You need to be doing something active. You have a voice for a reason. You have a voice to speak out. Stop letting your throat chakra be blocked because of fear.
Yep. That's
Open up your throat chakra and do what you know to do in the name of love.
Yep.
Share this out. Share this video out. Share out the links that we provide you to Craig Sawyer's website and Craig Sawyer's YouTube video. You guys need to see this. You need to see what he is exposing on his YouTube channel. What he is exposing is rape trees.
Yep.
Can you believe it, Norma? Rape trees, where little children are being restrained
Yep.
between trees
Yep.
and raped.
Yep.
While a
Well,
swing
a lot of
set.
this, a lot of this, I started diving into when WikiLeaks came out over elections in 2016, and so, yeah, it's when you start looking at how these people talk just in their everyday and how they kind of play around with it. Yeah, it is very sad because, you can see this cute little picture of this little girl with tape on her hand on the table, and it's just so cute until you realize what that's preparing that child to do.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And you know what's sad to me, Norma, is that we have been sharing this out for half the day today, and there's 14 people watching. It's like, where the fuck are the light workers? Where are those with the magical powers that know how to heal? Where the hell are you, okay? It's time for you to stand up for something.
Yep.
How about standing up for the children?
Yep. It's time to walk
Standing up
to help out.
I mean, this needs to go out to a lot of people, and guys, you need to share this out. And we know that people will watch later. We know.
Too. Sorry, my bad.
Go
I
ahead.
apologize. But I just wanted to.
No, go ahead.
A couple other people doing some great research is Titus Frost, the honeybee. All of these people you can find on YouTube, BitChute, Defango. I think those are the three main ones I watched. But they're very brave souls willing to really dig deep into these trenches, do the research. I mean, they're feet on the ground, really digging deep, trying to find the real players and movers in these situations.
It makes me want to go out in the streets. It really does. I mean, it makes. I can't just sit here and talk about it. I mean, I live along the.
What happened?
What happened?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, we're on a roll. We're on a roll, and we just need to take a deep breath. We need to take a deep breath and breathe, and because this brings up a lot of emotion for me. And you know what? I was never anywhere close to being, in the sex trade, but I was molested as a child. And you know what? 7 out of 10 girls are molested.
And let's not forget the boys.
Yeah, 5 out of 10 boys are molested. Yeah, it's going up for the boys as well. And it's time for us, it's time for us to be accountable. Parents, where are your children? Do you know where they are? Do you know who they're with? Do you know what's going on in their lives? Do you know who their friends are? Or are you just fucking working 40 and 50 hours a week and your kids are just there?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. And I think that's another different type of scenario that goes into the many facets of this one scenario, is that in order to survive in this world right now, we have to work 40, 50, 60 hours as single parents, for crying out loud. You know what I mean?
Well, it depends. So, I think, Norma, that a lot of people are coming out of the matrix, and I think it is a huge choice. But it is not something that we have to do, okay? No. You are out of the matrix. I am out of the matrix. My husband and I, 2 people, both of us, we live and survive on $800 a month, and we make it. So I don't want to put out that that storyline that people need to do that. They don't need to do that. They need to get their fucking priorities right and take care of their children at any cost. So you're selling your children for your job so that you can have a nice house, so that you can have a car and a boat, so that you can have credit cards, so that you can live in this world? Bullshit.
Right.
And
But
we're
then there's
seeing
also those
that.
families too, though, that we have to remember. Because see, I was one of these ones where I was kind of put in that spot where it's like, okay, and I didn't work for a long time, and I did take food stamps, etc. However, I have also had to deal with the state. I fought the state damn near the entire time I raised all three of my children, because you put yourself into another hole, another little loop where they can mess with you. You know what I mean? Because if you decide you want to stay home, you obviously with children are going to be needing assistance, because I mean, unless you're like a millionaire or had other parents that did kind of sacrifice that, or et cetera, you're in a spot where you have to make that choice. I, with my daughter having disabilities and et cetera, I chose to stay home. I chose to go ahead and let the world look at me like I was just a piece of shit loser collecting food stamps. That's fine. And I accept that, and I can see everybody's point. Of course, if you were me, you would see mine, and that would be okay too. Point is that, yes, you do really need to sit down in your life with your goals and everything else, especially once you have children, and decide what it is that is most important to you. Because it really can happen from those you trust the most. You know what I mean?
It does happen from those you trust the most. Trust me, it happens from the one you trusted the most. Okay? And I've seen it over and over again. The odds are that it's going to happen from the one you trust the most, not the boy down the street or on the other street, okay? Or the boyfriend at school or the date rape in college. I'm not making light of those things.
Still happen though.
Yes, I'm not making light of those things. Right. But what I'm saying that when we bring children into this world, oh my God, if I had it to do over again, if only we knew.
A lot of us don't. I was told I couldn't have kids, so I had my oldest. My mom wanted me to put her up for adoption. I was told, of course, I couldn't have kids, and I was pregnant, so I said, fuck you. And then I had two more, and I even had one and I had like 4 doctors tell me I could not have kids. 4 medical professionals, 3 children, and 1 miscarriage later. See how wrong they were? But the point is that sometimes we don't know what kind of situation we're going to find ourselves in. And that's why it really is, having goals and stuff for ourselves is key. But then also leaving yourself open enough to realize when you do find yourself in a circumstance or a situation where things might have to change a little bit.
Right.
We got to be flexible and willing to do that, because a lot of us will have had goals since I was 6. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I want to make of my life. And we'll sacrifice everything to get it. And I'm going to say at least 60% of the people that finally get it didn't really want it once they finally got it. It didn't, it didn't really fit to what they really, really wanted. And that's because they held on too tight to that main goal. We want to have goals. We want to have things that we want in our lives. We want to push for those things, but we also want to be flexible and open and leave ourselves enough room in our belief systems and our goals and everything that we're doing for the universe to work. You know what I mean? Because we're living here, but so are many others. So we got to kind of leave that wiggle room for how the universe is going to make these things happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the universe will make it happen. The universe always says yes and amen. Okay. Yep. So it's time for us to begin to speak out and do something. Find something that you care about, that you can sink your teeth into and be an advocate for. Because you know what? The darkness needs the light.
Yes.
It needs the light. It craves the light. It wants the light.
Right.
Okay? And we have to step it up. It's time to step up our game. Yep. Because, we're seeing this 3D matrix crumble. We're seeing it crumble. And we want to pull out all that have ears to hear and eyes to see. And if we don't go into the dark places to even try to pull them out, how will we even know how many we have let slip between our fingers because
right.
we didn't go into the darkness.
Right. Yep. That's exactly it. Yeah, and that's why, a lot of people have asked, me to explain like what I do and my spiritual belief system, and it's the main reason I call myself a mystic is because it depends on who am I working with, what am I doing, what situation am I in. I know how to utilize whatever's there,
Right.
and I will be able to get that done.
Yes.
But when you
and many of us do, Norma.
Yeah,
we can take our gifts
yes,
and put them to use in this 3D world outside of just giving somebody a reading.
Yes, exactly. And it really is about helping all of us to have the courage to use our voice to stand up for those things that we believe in.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter if people are fighting us, because you know what? There's going to be someone fighting you, especially until the truth truly reveals itself. There's going to be someone in opposition to your opinion, to the way you see things, which is another reason why I like to keep to statistics and facts when bringing up certain things. Because those are statistics and facts. Those are the truth revealing themselves, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, but yeah, trying to put yourself into a box or say that, I can only do this one thing, or this is the only thing, too many people are putting themselves into these labels. I don't want to say boxes. I want to put labels. And having labels for certain things to explain certain stuff, like me with Mystic, is okay. But when you start kind of compiling label upon label, this is what I am, and suddenly you are a bunch of labels instead of Norma, or Tammy, or, whoever it is that you are.
Right.
You too can find yourself fragmented and lost without even realizing how much of yourself is lost into that darkness, because you kind of evaded it for this little space of light. And so, yeah, we got to be conscious of how we're pushing people to do things. I don't want to tell anyone here that you have to believe a word I've said. You don't have to. I would suggest highly that you do some research on it. Highly suggest that because it is desperately necessary, especially if you don't believe the things that we've said. Now, we may have gotten a few statistics wrong or a couple of the, whatever, but there's many people out there that do have those proper papers right in front of them that have the correct numbers. Yes, and up above our video, we have a link to Vets for Child Rescue, and that's please, I'm asking if you guys would mind stopping by there, maybe donating, helping them out, doing some great things. So that would be amazing. But yes, just be willing to go for your passions. Don't put yourself under so many labels or boxes that you can't get yourself out of them. Understand that delving deep into the darkness of yourself also sometimes means that you realize other people are living in those darknesses, that your light, your awareness is needed in that area. Because, we are one, no one left behind, right? I mean, if we're not willing to look at something, how do we know we've, like, how can we really say that?
Wow, that just gave me chills when you said that. It's like no one left behind, but yet so many people are sweeping this issue under the rug.
Yeah.
And don't want to address it. And you know what? The authorities are sweeping it under the rug because a lot of the authorities are involved in it. Okay? Yeah. So it's going to take people bucking the system. Yeah. That means it's time to man up. Pull up your big panties.
Yeah.
Guys, girls, put on your big panties, put on your boots, and man up. Because we have to speak out against a lot of people in authority that know about these things and are doing these atrocities.
No longer okay? We got to quit. It's time to, just because you have a badge or you're in a position that says that in this 3D world you somehow some sort of authority over me. I am a sovereign being. See,
Yes,
no
yes,
one has
yes.
any control over me.
That's
So,
right.
I'm going to help to fight for those that don't remember that no one has control over them.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm with you, girlfriend. I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm ready to hit the streets. I mean, these places are hiding in your neighborhood. These places are hiding in what you might think is homeless camps,
Yep.
right off of highways and byways.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it takes boots on the ground to find these things out, to discover these things. And also, I want to say this. Your prayers matter.
Yes.
If you can't do anything, you can pray. You can pray that light shine in the dark places. You can pray that these children will be found. You can pray that God's source will lead somebody to these babies that are being abused, that are being taken underground as sex slaves, as little babies, and programmed to perform. Okay? So your prayers matter. Why do they matter? Because your prayers are spoken words. They're thoughts with intentions. But when you send them out, the universe hears them and the universe responds. So if you can't do anything, the least we can do as humanity is pray.
Right.
Is pray for one another. Is pray that these sexual rings be exposed. That people will find them. That they will be exposed and brought into the light. And pray that these children, because these are children, they're babies, they're little kids being stolen from their families. Pray that these babies will be healed, that they will be set free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. It's been a great show, everybody. I just got a YouTube update saying that Craig Sawyer is live or just uploaded a info on Tuscan child trafficking ring.
Tucson.
Or the Tucson, sorry. Oh my God, I said Tuscan.
Tuscan.
That's funny. I totally read that wrong. Anyway, so if y'all want to go shoot over to YouTube and check that out.
Sure.
Yes.
It's fresh, it's new, updated information. So thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. I know it took us 3
I'll
tries.
post the link.
Appreciate you.
Norma.
Yeah, I think Aaron just posted it, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
Yep, Aaron got it in there.
Okay. Aaron, you are on the ball. I love you.
Love you too.
But thank you all for coming. Please be willing to at least give this some time to entertain these thoughts that we're talking about, and be willing to kind of do some research on your own, and and do what you can to help out, even if it's an idea. Jaden just made a comment, and Jaden, if you will private message us, we want to talk to you. Okay, you made a comment that you were trafficked. If you would message us, we would love to talk with you. Yes. And anyone after even this live, if you're watching later and you have words about this that you want to talk, please contact us. If you have information on corruption and want to talk, if you simply just have something that you want to talk about and want a platform, need a platform, contact us.
Yes.
We're open. So
yes.
Thank you, everybody. And please check out Tom Sawyer. Oh my gosh, no. My brain. Craig Sawyer.
Well, he might have been Tom Sawyer in a past life. I love you, girl.
Thank you all. We love you, and we will see you next time.
Yes. Night.